What's up, everybody? We're going to bring on Bess McCarty, and we're going to get this show started here in just a second. Invite is sent. So give us 1 second, and we're going to get this rolling. Hope everybody's having a good day. We're going to get rolling with law number 1, the law of the lid. Hi, Sherry. How are you? What's up, Doug? How was the weekend? So bear with us, guys. Grab a notebook, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're going to get this program started here in just a second. We're going to go through John C. Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership Monday through Friday on the Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we're just getting everything rolling. Donald, what's up, man? Just waiting on Bess McCarty to jump on with us and bring them on camera. Here we go. Hi, Lisa. There she is. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon to some.
Wonderful.
Good evening to others. I don't know where you're at in the world. So Bess, you want to give it another minute and then we'll go ahead and get rolling?
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We love sharing this. Our aim is to raise the bar for network marketers as far as leadership and professionalism. So thank you each for being here, because we know that that is your purpose too.
Hi, Joyce. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Brittany. Hi, Steve.
We got people jumping on from all over the place. Again, grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. We're going to go through law number 1, the law of the lid, and how that applies to direct sales, how you're able to use this information to first grow yourself, because what we do in network marketing is grow people, and then people grow businesses. So that's what we're going to go over. Appreciate everybody for jumping on here, taking some time. I don't have my professional camera stand, so we're using a window seal. We'll use whatever we have to. I'm actually at a professional networking event with NTI Network Today International, and we were going around doing some speed networking. I ended up picking up a bunch of people's cards. So if you want to know how to, meet new people, attend events, bring yourself.
Just wanted to
welcome. I think we're probably about good.
Want to welcome Joyce Shokowski and Dr. Harvey Kitzman of Austin, old friends that I met at networking groups in Austin.
Awesome.
So they're watching, and David and Roy. Welcome, everybody.
I'm ready when you are. We can get rolling.
Should I do a little intro?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we thank you all for being here. This is really, really special to us. We've been looking forward to this moment of being able to be with you and kick off the MLM Lunchtime MLM Lunchtime Leadership Shows. Again, my name is Bess McCarty of the MLM Millionaire Club, partnering with Jeff Gamble of My Leadership Network to bring you these Facebook Lives every weekday at noon Eastern Time. What is our purpose? It's to help people grow and to educate, empower, and equip entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. So I know that you all share that purpose, or you wouldn't be here. You want to get good at being a good leader for your team, and let's work together to upraise this great profession.
Awesome. So here's what we're going to do. If you have a pen and a piece of paper, what we're going to do is we're going to run through the 21 Laws of Leadership. And for those of you who do not know who John C. Maxwell is, John Maxwell has actually, his story kind of goes back. He actually started in the church coming out of school. He's a pastor by profession, and he did it for years. He got to a point where he was at and built one of the largest churches in the country by the age of 40. And he had people from all over not only the United States, but all over the world, basically asking him, how did you build these organizations this big? Because obviously to run any organization that has thousands of people, hi Jessica, you need what? You need staff, you need volunteers, you need helpers. And he said inside of a church, you know, most of the time, most of the people who are giving back aren't getting paid. So you don't have the leverage of being able to say, hey, you're fired. Everybody's kind of just participating at their own will. So what he did is he started writing books. And the reason he started writing books is not because he was a good writer. He said, I was a terrible writer. He's like, if you want to know how terrible I am, read my first book. He's like, I don't even know if there's still copies of it anywhere. But his first book, they started doing the numbers on this. And what they found out was the actual physical numbers showed that 75% of the people who are buying his material had nothing to do with the church. They were actually business people, and they wanted to learn these lessons on how to build and grow their business. So when his editors and the publisher came back and told him this, he was like, that's really weird. He's like, well, I guess I have to change my whole format of what I'm doing. And they said, no, I think you're teaching the right material, but it just needs to be geared towards business people. So he started writing books. Now he's written over 80 books, which is kind of phenomenal in under 40 years. I mean, he's literally producing about 2 books a year. And I can't remember the school, if it was MIT or Stanford, it was one or the other, did a study on him, and they said, look, he's written more material. He's a single individual. He's written more material on one subject than any person in history. So it's kind of amazing what he's compiled. And one of the things I found out is you could actually become a John C. Maxwell coach and trainer. And that's what I decided to do in 2016, because this material is a material who helped me. And for those of you who don't know me, who don't know, anything about me, I started in direct sales when I was 17. Started growing my first company. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any skills. Obviously, at 17 years old, I had no skill. I had no job. I had no car. I had no cell phone, because cell phones weren't around back then. Well, they were, but they were in a bag, and you had to have, anybody remembers like the bookcase that you had to bring with you, and the cord, and hook it into your car. It was actually in the seat next to you in the seatbelt. It was that big, for those of you who can remember back that far. But I didn't have any of these things, and I also didn't know what to do. So I went out and trial and error for years. Eventually, I finally got into another company. Can we view this live later? Yes. Yeah, it's going to be recorded, and it's going to be put on YouTube. So I ended up putting this together by accident, and then eventually I took off. I ended up building 2 companies past 5,000 people. I've personally recruited over 500 people frontline, and I started getting phone calls like, how did you do this? What did you do? And because of the material that we're going to share with you is a lot of the reason that I was able to succeed, because it took me a long time to figure out what to do. But once I figured it out, I was able to grow my business very, very quickly. And this material helped out a lot. Now, here's the problem with the 21 Laws of Leadership. When I first looked at the book, I thought the book was terrible. And the reason I thought the book was terrible is because I didn't realize the book was supposed to apply to me. I thought it was supposed to apply to everybody else I knew. So when I was reading it as if I needed to take this information and teach it to other people. And I was like, I didn't get it. I started growing my business, and I ended up with a couple hundred people on my team in a very short period of time. And then all of a sudden I read this book again, and I was like, this guy is genius. So what I want to do is run through this. And here's the Maxwell philosophy, is that your leadership is like a lid or a ceiling on the organization. So what that means is wherever you're at on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 10, you're limiting the rest of the people you're bringing in by where you're at. So the way to grow your organization isn't to get more numbers, it's to grow yourself. As you grow yourself, your business will naturally grow. Here's what we can expect from the process as we engage in the law. Number 1, you're going to learn each law as an overview. Number 2, we're going to discuss the actual law itself in the form of stories and things that are, that have physically happened to us. And number 3, we're going to lead others to these laws so that way they can learn them, through the Facebook Live, through the group. And this is really kind of a special moment for us, and hopefully a special moment for you to be able to learn this, because this is something that when I first saw this material, I'm like, I should do this, and this is happening. So this was actually an idea that I had years ago that we're actually putting into place. And you never know who you're going to run into and who's going to bring everything together. And Bess McCarty, with her MLM Millionaire School and our relationship that we built over the last 4 years, talking, and we're Facebook friends. I mean, that's how we ran into each other. We ran into each other through third party, started a conversation, and just had a lot of the same goals, same ambitions, same ideas, just from 2 different perspectives. And now we're coming together to do this. So Number one, learning the law of the lid. Learning the law of the lid, the leadership ability is a lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. So the level of effectiveness is, some people are like, I need to work harder. I mean, actually, working harder is good, but watch this. When you raise your lid, when you learn more about leadership, when you become a better leader, what happens is you can do the same amount of work and get twice the results, or 3 times the results, or 4 times the results. So do you necessarily want to put more time into it, or do you want to work smarter and harder? That's what, we're going to talk about. The lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the potential of the group. So regardless of how fast or how hard you're going to work. Hi, Kat. A bunch of people jumping on here. I appreciate everybody coming on. Bess is responding back to people at the same time. I'm trying to do the same as we read. So the way that it looks is, if you had a chart with your potential on one side and your level of effectiveness on the other, as you learn more about leadership, your effectiveness goes up, and that's kind of the whole goal of this. Now, how people are like, well, I kind of get the concept, but how do you use the actual principle? Whatever you accomplish will be restricted or propelled by your ability to lead others. How we live out the understanding of the laws of the lid. So how do you actually do this? It says, living the law of the lid. What is the lid number on your leadership? So this is where you can actually calculate exactly where you're at. So for those of you who are the C-type personalities, or maybe the number crunchers, the D-types, maybe you're an S-type where you're like, I don't even know what my lid is. Maybe I should stop doing what I'm doing. I need to go read a book. I don't need to talk to anybody until I figure this out. Keep doing what you're doing, but this is something to add. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, which is also a book by John Maxwell, the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. I actually recommend that book as one of the first books to read, because that has everything to do with who you are. Grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these off, and what you want to do is just have a pen and a piece of paper and grade yourself on these. Now, this is recorded, so you can go back. I was told, faster than the average person. So I'll try to slow down a little bit, but the idea is we want to get all the content out, and I apologize, it's kind of like a fire hose as we teach this, but here we go. So this is the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader, and these are the 21 qualities a leader needs to lead at the highest level. And John took years to research this, to come up with this list, and he's like, these are the 21. He actually sometimes has people challenge him and be like, I don't know if those are the 21. He's like, trust me, I've talked to a lot of people. He's like, I'm not a clown. I'm a trainer. I did research this. So number 1 is character. You have to have character. And I'm not going to go into the definitions of each one. We can go into that another time. So character. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your character? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Number 2, charisma. What kind of charisma? What kind of energy do you have? Are you magnetic? Number 3 is commitment on a scale of 1 to 10. Number 4, communication. Number 5, competence. Number 6, courage. And maybe you just want to write these down. You can go back and figure it out later. Number 7, discernment. You also have to know how to read all these. Number 8, focus. Number 9, generosity. 10, initiative. Do you have the initiative? Are you the starter of things, or do you wait for somebody else to go do it and figure it out and then call you later and be like, here's how it's going to work? Listening. A friend of mine, when I was first in network marketing, gave me a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. He's like, I suggest you read this. And then another friend of mine in the business said, have you read How to Win Friends and Influence People? I was like, that's amazing. Somebody else gave me that book. And then a third person recommended. Just to let you know, if like 5 people have recommended How to Win Friends and Influence People, you need to read that book. Listening. He's like, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Do you know that? I was like, yeah. And he was trying to teach me a lesson. Passion. Are you passionate about what you're doing? Positive attitude. Then we have problem solving. Do you have the ability to solve problems? This is one of the things that I see from a leadership position, is people get stopped and stuck so easily. And honestly, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you get stopped so easily, because we've been told if there's a problem, you're supposed to stop what you're doing and go get what? A manager. You're supposed to go get a teacher. We're not taught to really solve our own problems, and as unfortunate as that is. So we become dependent upon the system, or whatever system that happens to be in the place. But as a leader, you have to figure out how to solve all the problems without really on your own. Now you need to go to mentorship to figure those problems out. The next one is relationships. Do you have the ability to build long-term relationships? I was told right away in network marketing, people do business with people they know, people they like, and people they trust. So you want to be able to build relationships with people. Next is responsibility. Do you take responsibility? If the meeting needs to grow, whose responsibility is it? If things need to go in the right order, it's your responsibility to get it. Security. Not only do you have security, but do you build security for others? Self-discipline. Do you have the ability to do it on your own and make it happen? Servanthood. Do you have the ability to give back even when you're not getting anything? Teachability. Are you humble enough to learn something new? And last, vision. Do you see things in the future of what's going to happen, what should happen, and do you go make it happen? So those are the 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. And what you want to do is you want to grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And once you're done with that, then you take all those numbers, you add them up, and you divide by 21. And that gives you basically kind of where you're at on a scale of 1 to 21 on where you're at with the 21 laws. Now, here's what I found out when I first took this. I found out I was really good at 3 of these, 3 of the 21. The unfortunate part is I didn't even know the other 18 existed. So guess how good I was at those. I was horrible. So what I realized is I had a lot of work to do in a lot of different areas to be able to become and help more people. So that's really, it's not to put yourself down. If the number's low, it may be because you've never heard this before, not because you're not necessarily good at it. Obviously, if we taught this from day one to everybody, we would all do a lot better. But now you're learning it, so now's a good time to start. So ask those closest to grade your lid. So once you get this list, another thing to do is basically pass it off to a couple people. And Maxwell talks about 3 different kinds of people. You want to pass it off to somebody you're really close to. You want to pass it off to somebody you work with. And then you want to pass it off to somebody you really don't talk to, who sees you maybe from school or maybe at a distance. They know who you are, but they don't know you yet. And what you do is you combine those 3, and that'll give you a real good idea of how you're perceived by other people. Kind of a cool project, actually. To some of us, it's not so cool of a project because what you're also going to ask is for people to tell the truth, and sometimes that's painful. So you do have to kind of put on maybe a football helmet and some gear to hear some of the information that people will give you in feedback. Go to the 21 qualities and find out where you're at to make the greatest impact growing. Remember this, you'll have strengths. And here's the thing, what you're looking for when you get that list from other people is where do they see your strengths are, where do you see your strengths are, and then combine what do you want your strengths to be, because that's another thing. What do you want your strengths to be? You can work on it from that perspective. So D, things you can give, or things you can do to raise your lid. Number 1, value, experience, and reflection. So what you want to do is every time you go to something, like today I went to a networking event, you want to look at how many people did you affect, what cards did you get, and then what was your effectiveness. I plan on actually texting all these people and setting up one-on-one. So everybody that I talk to, I'm not just going to talk to once. My goal is to build a relationship with them. So I want to go back after this meeting, find out who I talk to, what they need or what they want, and then get back with them. Number 2, invest in training. Most people invest in entertainment. That's why they're broke. I mean, I'll be real honest. Most people would skip out any education so that way they can go to the movie, or that way they can buy a car, or that way they get commemorative plates. I mean, people's houses are full of crap. I mean, let's be real honest. I know people that still have VCR tapes. They have a shelf full of VCR tapes. They have no VCR. What does that mean? I don't know. They're waiting for them to come back in style. We just feel... We spend a lot of money on things that don't make sense because we're marketed to. So rather than being marketed to, what you want to do is specifically start looking at what will help you grow yourself and your business so you can make more money and have more choices. Number 3, mentorship and coaching. And I talked about this yesterday, the difference between a mentor and a coach. A mentor might be somebody that you're working directly with that's in your company, that's physically coming down to help you, and they're doing it because it's helping their team financially. Some people need to go seek out a coach that can help with breakthroughs in certain areas, and Bess has done a great job of building a school over time to do that. Number 4, mastermind and focus. And that's one of the purposes of us putting together a school together and doing this, what we're doing right now, is to be able to help people and answer questions. Number 5, do something beyond yourself. I think giving back is probably one of the greatest things you can do. And Tony Robbins says, you know, there's two things. There's the art of achievement, or the science of achievement. He said, if you want to succeed, if you want to do things, there's actually a science behind doing this much over this much time that will produce these results. He said, but the problem is, and most people get messed up, is fulfillment is an art. And, you know, you see these people, you know, turn to drugs and turn to alcohol and turn to gambling and turn to all these self-destructive, overeating. They turn to self-destructive things simply because it's an art form to feel fulfilled. He said the number one way to feel fulfilled based on science is to be able to give back and do something where there's nothing in return you can get back. And I have a friend that teaches this to his kids. They actually give toys away when they get too much stuff every year. You know, most kids do. So they actually package it all up, and he makes them clean all the toys. He makes them actually repackage everything. And this is stuff that's completely usable, you know, not stuff that's broken, but they actually package it all up when they get to that next level, and they actually go to places that don't have the financial ability, and they actually package the toys up and give them back, which is really cool. So it teaches the kids right away, here's what happens when you give back. And I think it's cool to teach that from a young age. I wish, you know, what a smart idea. Some of my friends are much smarter than me, obviously, because I partnership with Bess. You're like, I already know that. Reflect on, you know, who's been a lid lifter in your life. And what that means is who's consistently worked with you to help you raise your level of effectiveness, but also who wants your betterment. Look for people like that. What did they do? What characteristics do they have? So these are just questions to ask. Make a stop doing list. If you're doing some stuff that's actually hurting you, and part of it is people will say, well, I want to do all this, but I don't have the time. When I write down most people's schedule, here's what it looks like. A quarter of the time, people look for something that they should be doing. A quarter of the time, we waste time not only not knowing what to do, but we waste time running around planning what we're supposed to do. A quarter of the time, we distract ourselves with things that we shouldn't be doing, and then a quarter of the time we actually do the things we need to do. Imagine if you just were 50-50. Imagine if 50% of the time you screwed around and 50% of the time you got stuff done. What would your effectiveness level obviously be? So here's some other questions to ask yourself that are on this page that have more to do with reading the book. But for those of you who haven't read the book yet, it's really not going to apply. So I'm going to actually skip that section. And I'm going to go down. If you could grow your leadership ability by just 1%, and he says per week, that means in 52 weeks, you'd be 52% better in your leadership. What if you just read every day 15 minutes out of this book? What if you could increase your leadership by 1% a day? And in 52 days, you'd be better. In 100 days, you'd be 100% better. Could you get 300% better? And the answer is yes. When people asked me that question, they were like, not only could you, you should. So that's basically the lesson of today, the law of the lid. And what I want to do right now is I'm going to turn this over to Bess McCarty, so that way she can kind of run through maybe some stories, how this applies. And for those of you who have questions, this is the time to ask questions. What can we help you with?
Well, I love the law of the lid about effectiveness. When I was studying this, I related it to the difference in network marketing. You know, in the book, we're gonna post a link for the free book and free online PDF of John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, so that you can read along and read that law for the day that we're going to be doing it. Now these, and July 1st is actually our official kickoff date. These 2 weeks now, this week and next week, are warm-ups toward the official one. So we're going to be giving, and Jeff's going to be giving, as a certified John Maxwell trainer, going to be giving a whole lot of tips and good things to warm us up to that. So July 2nd, actually, Monday, July 2nd is going to be the kickoff, where we're going to do one law a day. In the meantime, we're going to cover some of the laws and give other principles. But the law of the lid, that's the first one. It's like, that is weird name, you know. Maybe we could call a law a ceiling or something like that we have on ourselves. But when I read that, and about the difference that happens in a business when you have leadership and when you don't, there's a cool story in there about the McDonald's brothers who developed a restaurant for the first time, that they could kind of automate food preparation, you know, assembly line stuff. and people going up and picking it up in 30 seconds from the order. They wanted to have it, a goal of you order it, 30 seconds later you got it and you can leave. So that was sort of like the beginning of that much of fast food that you could take with you and everything. Well, they developed that as far as they could. Then it was Ray Kroc who came along and took that idea, and his leadership multiplied it into franchises all over the world. So that difference in the leadership, to me, how does that equate to network marketing? Well, that would be the difference of somebody getting into network marketing and they focus on sales, or they are a good salesperson and they come in and they're really good at sales. So how much work can one person do? How many people can one person help? How many people can one person reach? Maybe thousands, maybe just hundreds. So when you become a leader in network marketing, that's when you replicate yourself like Ray Kroc did with McDonald's. That's when you duplicate and replicate and train other people to do that too. Now, instead of one man being able to reach hundreds, now he has a team with him, an army of people on the same mission to help people with their health product or their service or whatever. And now there are maybe hundreds of people reaching hundreds of people. So what does that mean? Hundreds of thousands of people get helped. So when we think of leadership, instead of doing it all ourselves, which believe me, I've been an independent person, and I think, I need to do it all myself. But when we think of leadership and multiplying and replicating our efforts, how many more people can we help? We know that's what this is about. Now, just like John Maxwell in his church couldn't fire people if they didn't perform, we can't do that in network marketing. They don't work for you. Your team does not work for you. They're each working as volunteers, like in the church, independently. And so we need these laws of leadership to inspire the people. I'm not in a company. I'm a generic trainer for the last 10 years with network marketing. And I am still a leader. My team is my students and my clients. So I need to inspire, like each of you do, who have a team, need to inspire and motivate. And that is the art of leadership that's going to multiply exponentially what you could do alone. Turn it over to Jeff.
Well, guys, that's pretty much the lesson. I'm kind of looking back through. Bess, did you see anybody that had any specific questions that we wanted to answer? If you have questions at this time, please type them into the comments, and we'll try to get that done. We really appreciate everybody for being on for our, this is kind of like the preview launch to what we're doing. Give us some feedback. What did you like? What do you think we can improve? We're open to suggestions. But every day, basically what we want to do is read through the lesson and then answer questions and kind of go through different things we have the ability to do. Obviously, we're learning the platform, to say the least, on how to bring people on and off and, ask questions and things like that. But we're going to take questions inside the comment section. So, go ahead and type those in. We'll be able to answer things. But this is just about building an organization. If you guys want to grow a business, number one, grow yourself. And then let this information grow other people. That's how we're going to help more people do this. So appreciate everybody for being on here. Okay, so when there's two leaders, it's like two cooks in the kitchen. Any advice on how to coexist? Do you want to grab this? Yes?
Well, that's what Jeff and I are doing. We're two cooks in the kitchen, aren't we?
Yep.
And we like it because it's fun. We get company, we get support, we have different strengths. So Jeff is, the D type of personality and the disc personality. I'm more the S, the steady, and okay, let's do some planning. He's like, okay, let's just do this thing, And I'm like, wait, we got to plan. We got to do it, figure out how we're going to do this and do the preparation work and all this stuff. And so we bring different strengths. There's a balance and gifts we each bring to the table. So two cooks in a kitchen. Honor each other's strengths and say, I need your strengths because I don't have those strengths. So respect, appreciate, thank goodness that you are different from me. There was a lady who hired someone to oppose. She hired people to oppose her. I forget, she developed some new medical system. I forget her name now, but she actually sought people out. She hired a man to oppose her, to be her adversary, to pick her theory apart. I think she wrote a paper on medical cure or something like that. So she hired someone to spend 2 years picking it apart and to find any holes in it. Well, he couldn't. So she was satisfied after that time. But see, she didn't hire somebody who agreed with her. She hired somebody who was opposite her and would be her adversary. So what you may not learn, one you may learn from the other. Yeah. So we hope that people get different things from both of us. We're doing this so that you can get more than if it was just one of us teaching. You want to read the next question, Jeff?
Okay, so Carl asks, how can I improve my listening skills so I can make better decisions? What I found is a pen and a piece of paper. When I'm working with somebody or I'm listening to somebody, I found writing down, because I'm so visual and my brain's working so fast, I'm thinking of other things. When you're listening to somebody, physically write out what they're talking about. So that way you can kind of go back to and hit on their points rather than where your mind spins off to. That's helped me tremendously. I literally walk around with a pen and a piece of paper consistently. Also, when you're taking notes when somebody's talking to you, it kind of does make them feel really important. So you're kind of going with human nature and supporting the other person. Like, hey, I care enough about you that I am missing this and I don't want to miss it anymore. So I want to kind of participate. And going back to Lori's question as well, one thing that I think I would add is confirm that you're going in the same direction. That's one of the things that I found most, especially if you're dealing with 2D type personalities, is most of you will argue in the semantics of getting to the exact same place, but not realize you're going to the same place. So, confirming, hey, is this where we're headed? Is this is this the objective we both have? Okay, so if we both have this objective, the problem with 2Ds is both people see that their way is going to be the best way to get there. And that's true because that's the way you're committed to do it. So you want to lay out both ways on paper and say, okay, what am I doing? What are you doing? Are we both going in the same direction? Can we both get there? But obviously you can't lead a group of people with 2 sets of instructions. So you kind of have to merge those instructions together to be like, these are the instructions on the way to get there. Because obviously if somebody comes in and says, hey, this is the way we're doing things, and then the next person comes in and says, no, that's not the way we're doing things this way, you create a lot of confusion. No problem, Carl. Hopefully that helps. Write it down, evaluate it, and then once you write it down and you evaluate it, before you make decisions, the only other thing I can say is have a coach. Or, an accountability partner, somebody that you go to that you trust, that is further down the road than you, that has kind of made a lot of the mistakes. And here's something that happens in business. If you're, and I know this from Japan, in Japan, typically if you start a business, one of the things they'll recommend is you actually get a mentor or a coach that's 20 to 25 years older than you are. The reason being is somebody who's 20 to 25 years older is going to see things from a different perspective. They have more life experience, and they're going to be able to give you different advice based on experience. So I found that to be the most helpful. Best?
Yes, Tony Robbins does that. His mentors, his coaches are that much older, or nearly, within 15 to 20 years older than him. And that teamwork again, with like in a marriage or anything, when the people seem to be pulling opposite directions, they can remind themselves, hey, we're on the same team. We have the same goal, which is, this goal in business or this goal in marriage. So Jeff and I may need to remind ourselves from time to time, right? That, hey, we're on the same team,
Michael,
do
you want to take that one?
Me? Okay. How do you guys prep and put plans for doing a presentation online or in person like this? So how do we prep? Phone. We have a lot of fun by phone. Text, Facebook message, each put out our ideas. I feel like ideas to me come from somewhere else, from something bigger than me coming in. And it's a thrill when I can be a vehicle for this and actually be in step with Jeff when ideas are flowing through him too. Because often it's like a puzzle pieces were given to us from somewhere else that it's so cool how they fit together. You have anything to add?
And I think, one of the things we've done is we've had conversations before we get started. Like yesterday, we were on the phone till, I don't remember, it was midnight, and I was at the gym, and we were still going over just how we were going to do things. And it's just step by step. I mean, part of it is we're going to get it out there. That's why we're doing this to start out with. We're going to do it over a series of how many weeks, and then we're going to kind of get things rolling. This is kind of the warm up. We practice, trial and error.
I just love
and then plan, do, review.
Yeah, plan, do, review. That's what we're going to do. So after this, we're going to take a minute and say what went well, what could be done better. Plan, do, review. So it's better for you tomorrow. Throw some mud against the wall and then go. So it's better for you tomorrow, and then we're going to do the same thing. So it's better for you on Wednesday, and this is going to be better for you on Thursday and on Friday, and etc. So think what it's going to be after a while. I just love creativity, even working myself, but it's even more fun working with a team. My gosh. And that's why so many people fall in love with network marketing. And at the end of the day, at the end of their life, at the end of their 30, 40, 50 or careers or whatever, and they look back and they say, what was the best part? The money, being on stage or whatever? It was the people. It was the people they got close to, became like with family with over time. So this is what we're doing here in the leadership. One more quick tip about active listening is, about listening well. It's called active listening. When you listen to the person, you reflect back to them did I hear you say this and this? Is this what I heard you say? And then you give them a chance to verify that or correct that. That's real handy between mates too, but it can be good between business partners to clarify.
Guys, we'll take one more question and then we have to wrap it up. And we are thankful that everybody was able to jump on. We'll be doing this again tomorrow, law number 2. So for those of you who are going to be on, again, Bess, do you want to go over what they need to do if they want to be on these, how we can tag them, and where the content's going to sit?
Yeah. So go to this is being broadcast on Jeffrey David Gamble's personal page because he gets more exposure here. But to be part of this group, go to the Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Request to be added to the group. Once you do, then you can add your group. If you get permission from them, you will see the replay on there and on YouTube, and also you'll see the free book link so that you can read along with us with the 21 Laws.
Awesome. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody for being on. If you're watching the replay, just put replay in the comment section so that way we know you were on. If you have any questions about this, list those in the comments. We'll be going back through consistently reviewing these and looking at these, and we look forward to everybody joining us tomorrow. Thanks for being on our first one, and we look forward to doing more of them. Thanks.
Thank you.